Okay, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but peace to you. In the name of the Son, I count you a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word of God, and never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to get right into today's lesson. I'm not going to keep you long, but I just wanted to reiterate the importance of fathers. You know, I saw a commercial the other day, I think it's yesterday, and the world celebrated so-called celebrated Father's Day, and on one commercial they were peace to you, brother Isaiah. And I'm not saying we need to be celebrating these holidays. What I am saying is just funny how on the commercial it was celebrating mothers on Father's Day. It was just funny because the reality is that the household begins with the man, and the chaos that you see in communities, particularly our communities, is a direct result of the need for fathers and the need for manhood. When you even talk about what a father is, you go to the Hebrew Abba, you look at the paleo, you look at the symbols that they used to represent what a father was. It was an ox and a tent. The ox symbolizing the strength, and the house, the tent, the dwelling of the tent. So what is a man? A man is the strength of the house. He's the strength. Peace to you, Willie. If you don't have a man in the household, you don't truly have a household. It's lacking. I don't care what nobody say. So I just want to deal with that. And one thing about it is many of us grew up in situations where we didn't have a father there. And so we don't necessarily know, we didn't have an example of what a father was and a husband was. But the beautiful thing about the word is that it shows us what our role should be. It shows a woman what she should do, how she should be a mother and a wife. It shows a child how they are supposed to behave. And it shows a man how he's supposed to be a father. And I just want to deal with a few scriptures pertaining to that in New Testament text. And we're going to find out what a man should be doing. Yeah, it needs to be reiterated because there's when you look at what's going on right now, it's going on when you got these kids. How many people got shot this weekend? I believe, and just in Chicago, I believe it was 101. I believe the last estimate I saw was 101 people got shot. I would venture to say that those people those young men pulling the trigger, they had a lack of a male role model in their homes. I'm not saying every single one of them, but when you look at society and when you look at crime, when you look at lack of education, when you look at poverty, when you look at sexual abuse, when you look at teenage pregnancy, when you look at juvenile delinquency, when you look at these things, even obesity are directly linked to fatherlessness. And we're living in a society now where, for a variety of reasons, some men are choosing just to leave their households, which is wrong, we're gonna find. But men are kind of being pushed out of homes, and they are not being their role and their significance is not being acknowledged. And that's why you have the chaotic family life that we have today. Again, particularly in our neighborhoods and amongst our people. So I want to read it here. Let's go to Timothy. 1 Timothy. And because we want to find out what for the first thing a man should do. Okay, 1 Timothy 5 and verse 8. Paul writes, but if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Don't talk about God. Don't talk about your love for God. Don't even talk about him if you're not taking care of your family. Again, that is the responsibility. That is the burden that a man is supposed to bear. He is supposed to take care of his family. But that's not all he's supposed to do. But that's the minimum, to take care of his family financially. Because the household is his. When you really understand, the children are his. The wife is his. See, people don't, when you, from a biblical perspective, from a Hebraic perspective, again, that's his household. Matter of fact, let me show you that. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis. Because you, not only are you supposed to be, not only is it your household, and you're supposed to provide for your household, because if you don't, you worse than a non-believer. That's what an infidel is. You are the spiritual head of your household. Genesis, the 18th chapter. And verse, I'm going to pick it up at verse 17. Because it was promised, and my father touched upon this the last Sabbath, about what was shown to Abraham about the age of 75, and he didn't come into it till 25 years later, totally, in the sense of having a child of the covenant. But he says something. He says, and verse 17, and the Lord says, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I will do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I know him. Peace to you, brother Nicodemus. He said, for I know him. It says that he will command his children and his household after him. See, it's his household. When you don't have a head of a household, you are lacking. I don't care what anybody says. You got people running around, thank you for being mother and father to their mother. You're not mother and father. Now, granted, you could have been in a position to where the man was negligent, you know, and I'm not saying, I'm not giving anybody a pass on that. Because that's the man should take care of his household. But you're not mama and daddy, just like a man is not mama and daddy. Clearly, there's a deficiency there. Again, look at our progeny, look at our seed. Clearly, there's a deficiency there. Why do you think gangs became so prominent in these urban areas? Clearly, there's a deficiency there. So it says, for I know him that he will command his children and his household after him. So now he told him to walk before me and be thou perfect. So now the man is the one that is the lead, and everybody, the woman and the children, are supposed to get behind him. I'm talking about lead him, and his head is who? Is Christ. So it says, if I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. Okay, let's go to Joshua. See, you are the spiritual head of your household. Joshua, the 24th chapter and verse 14. Let's see the charge that Joshua gave and what to the nation, and see what he said about his own household. Joshua 24:14. It says, now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood. That's talking about the river Euphrates. Talking about you know, Abraham, he came out of Ur of the Chaldees. They were worshiping falsely, okay? And the Lord manifested himself unto him and said, walk before me and be thou perfect. So it says, and in Egypt, because they came out of Egyptian bondage, they went into Goshen, dwelt there. He says, stop serving these false gods that you had in Egypt and serve you the Lord. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your father served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. So now it's talking about in the promised land of Canaan. Now, that land, you know, that was promised to Abraham. See, it says, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. See, as a man, you have to make the decision to serve the true and living God, and you lead your household in that direction. So understand, if you're leading them in that direction, just think of how our communities would look. You understand? Because it's clearly not happening now. It's clearly not happening now. And I want to make a point, and it's gonna sound may sound a bit controversial, but clearly I don't care. I just try to prepare people for things I'm gonna say, because sometimes people get triggered. You have men not fulfilling their responsibilities, but you also have women choosing men that are not fulfilling their responsibilities. So when you look up and you done chose a man and you chose to lay down and be with and have children with a man that's not taking care of you and don't give a damn about your kids, you have to take some responsibility in that. So you have to take you have to take responsibility in that, because who are you choosing? Are you choosing a man? Are you choosing a male? They're not. It's a difference. It's a difference. So you have to take accountability for that. Just like the man has to take accountability, you have to take accountability for the one you chose to lay down with. Because at the end of the day, the women, you gonna have the children. You will have the children. So are you with a man that's gonna provide? What was he doing when you met him? Was he trying? Was he on his purpose? Was he dealing in righteousness? Because see, what I see, even in the word, I see women in the word choosing men that ain't even in the word, just so they can be with somebody. Then you look up and you done made a mess. It's a disaster there. Now you need somebody to clean that mess up. You shouldn't have made the mess in the first place, especially when you know better. I've seen that numerous times. I ain't talking about people just out in the world. I'm talking about in the word. Get phone calls and emails. Should I marry this person? Well, he's a non-believer. So how is he? Now you know the truth, but you're gonna choose a non-believer? The Bible talk about being unequally yoked. Why would you do that? I'm telling them this, they don't want to hear it. Just like I said, let me prepare you. Because people don't want to hear the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. But men, you lead the household. It's your house, that's your wife, those your children. It's totally backwards in the West. In the West, that's her house, those her kids. And you a bystander. No, that's your house, that's your wife, that's your household. You rule your household. And rule it according, you need to be following Christ. You need to be following God. But now let's go to Deuteronomy, because as a man, you have a duty not just to provide for your household as a father, but also you need to instill something else in your children. This is Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 5. Deuteronomy 6 and 5. It says, and thou shalt, it says here, it says, actually, Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5. I'll read it here. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me. Now, that's Moses speaking. He says that ye should do so in the land where ye go to possess it. He said, keep therefore and do them. Do what? The statutes, the commandments, the judgments of the Lord. He said, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. See, within Torah, it comes from the mind of an omniscient or all-knowing being, and thus is wisdom embedded in what he's telling us to do. So therefore, you would be wise to adhere to it. Right? So it says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who have God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? None. That's why Paul says, what advantage does have to do with what profit is there of circumcision, much chiefly in every way, for unto them were committed the oracles of God. He didn't manifest himself unto another people. So it says, and what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I said before you this day? But then he tells you what you need to do. He says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently. So you need to take heed. You need to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. And then he tells you something else. Lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But what should you do? He said, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. You have to teach it to the men from generation to generation to generation. Why? Because the man is the spiritual head of our household, and he directs the household. You shouldn't be directionless as a man. You should have direction. You should be following Christ and telling and demanding that your household follow you. That's what you need to do. And your children follow you. That's what you should do. Let's pick it up in Ephesians. It's Ephesians, the 6th chapter. This is what you should do, and this is what's lacking. See, and understand, even with that, even the discipline of the child, when you look at it, particularly male children, at a certain point, about 12 or 13 years old, this is extremely pivotal at this age. They're coming into puberty, coming into their madness biologically. Now, really scared of my mama. The way she yelling, doing all this, not really scared of mama. She got to do something outrageous or something crazy for you to be scared of it. Yelling all that. My father don't have to do that. Because the young boy knows what time it is. He's hung on the arm of his father before. He's arm wrestled his father before. He knows the strength of his father. My father ain't never been one to physically discipline me. I pretty much just listen to what he said. But one thing about he always talked to me. He always talked to me. He would talk, trying to teach me something. But then understand, I knew if I ever got out of line, he didn't have to say it. If I ever got out of line, I knew he could destroy me. I knew that. My father used to take a 100-pound dumbbell and curl 100 pounds in one hand. I knew, I saw the weights downstairs. He was well older than me, built. I knew, it wasn't no question in my mind. Okay, even though that never came up, I knew. I'm not testing him. So now let's pick it up at Ephesians, the 6th chapter. You have to lead your children. He says something here. He says in Ephesians, the 6th chapter, and verse 4, he says, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. You have to show them the Most High. You have to show and introduce them into the truth of his word. You have to tell them what thus said the Lord. So in order for you to do that and to direct your house in that way, you have to know it. Let's go to Proverbs. And so when you look, like I said, you had 101 shootings this weekend. Ironically, Father's Day weekend. How many, look, just think about it. How many of them had the direction of a father, a true father? How many of them knew what thus said the Lord? Because if you see, the man is supposed to be teaching, and so you had a moral compass. Certain things will not be tolerated. Certain things, they have to say, I brought you in, I take you out. Certain things won't be tolerated. Because it's one thing about it, before you get to hanging out a car with a semi-automatic weapon shooting at people, sometimes at innocent people, you'd have had some issues to come up before that. You've gotten arrested for stealing the car before that. You got arrested for selling dope before that. You got arrested for assault before that. You've been expelled from school before that. You've been suspended and put in detention before that. You flunked out before that. You cussed out grown folks before that. You've been stealing from Big Mama before that. So at B times, early, you get with them. That's what a man is supposed to do. It ain't just come out the womb shooting at people. These young people are like uncultivated fields. You as the husband, you as the father, you need to cultivate the garden. You need to cultivate the field. You need to ensure that weeds are not everywhere. And that's what we got, a bunch of weeds. These young people are directionless and they don't have what they need. So when you look at them and you say, these young people crazy, no, you need to look within yourself. I'm talking about the older people. And it's the failures of the old and the disconnection with the younger generation. That's why we're in the condition we're in. And it starts in a home. It starts with the family. It starts with the household. It starts with the man. So if you're doing what you need to do, as far as men, you need to be commended. But we need to understand that there's a dearth of manhood. And we are raising lawless children. And we are raising males that are acting feminine. They acting feminine because they are not doing what they should do as men because they don't even know what a man is. So on one hand, you got to act feminine. On the other hand, you got to commit these types of crimes. You look at the jails. You go to the jails. You talk. We did ministry in the jails. Look, and you talk to them. No father there. Father locked up too. Proverbs the 22nd chapter. Proverbs the 22nd chapter and verse. I want to read here. Verse 6 and see what it says. It said, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. You have to train up a child. You have to teach them the law, statutes, the commandments of God. And more than likely, if you do that and hold a standard in your home, our homes won't look like this. So at a certain point, we need to break the cycle. At a certain point, we need to break the shackles and chains of what's been going on, the dysfunction that has been going on from generation to generation to generation. We need to break it. We need to break it. We need to break it and go and start a new course and go back to the old way. That's what we need. Because we are totally going in the wrong direction. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you, we're at the Household of Faith. We live stream every Sabbath, which is Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. We have Bible study. Peace to everybody that's listening to. We have Bible study every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. And I can find it. Our personal meeting ID number. Thank you, Brother Willie. Appreciate you. Peace to you, Brother Dewan. And peace, reach one, teach one. All praise to the Most High, brother. Sister Flagler as well. Peace to you. So our personal meeting ID number for our Bible study is 602-961-1318. If you have, again, that's on Zoom. If you have questions, biblical questions that you have, that's 8 p.m. every Friday night, Central Standard Time. You can come on, ask your questions, or you can just come and listen. You don't have to be seen. You don't have to be heard. You can be seen and you can be heard. But we're dealing with what thus saith the Lord. Also, if you've been edified through the ministry and would like to leave a donation, we truly appreciate those who have. You can do so on our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry, not in our pockets. And again, we are thankful for those who have donated. And with that, I want to remind you that books are available at Amazon.com. Into Egypt Begin with Ships, the Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. Excuse me. Into Egypt Begin with Ships, the Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays. Killing Black Innocents, this program to control African American reproduction from slavery's end to the present day self-inflicted genocide. And another thing, we killed 25, what would equate to 25% of our children through abortion. Okay, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, do they matter in the womb? Apparently not. When you talk about 16 million babies, all praise to the Most High. You talking about 16 million babies. See, if you had established homes, married individuals, you wouldn't have all this sacrifice of children on the altar of convenience. It's a travesty. Hair like wool, feet like burned brass, the color of Jesus, and burning truths concerning the Messiah. For then shall be great tribulation and in defense of biblical polygyny. All these books are available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Nobles and other places where books are sold. And with that, brothers and sisters, it's always my prayer that you will edify. And I say all to the men, be a man. Be a man. That's what I would say, be a man. And the beautiful thing about the Bible is it's showing you what a man is and how to be one. If you've never seen it in your life, you can see it in the scriptures. I thank you for your time.